Kenya. And the day we've been waiting for has finally come. I want to welcome every one of you. We still have about 2 minutes to the top of the hour. So those of you that are early birds, I want you to begin to share. I want you to begin to share right now. Begin to share, begin to share, begin to share. Begin to share, every one of you. I want you to share quickly. Share it on your page before we hit the road. Before we hit the road very hardly, I want you to share. Quickly, even myself, I'm on Facebook right now on my phone. All of you begin to share, begin to share, begin to share. Glory be to God. I see we are powerfully live there. No interruption. Glory be to God. Glory be to God. So share. Let your friends know that something good is about to happen. Something good is about to happen. We are live on YouTube, on Pastor Esther Obasi-ike's page. We are live on Facebook, on Pastor Esther Obasi-ike's page. I want you to be a blessing to someone. I want you to go live with us and also share wherever you are. Share. So let me give you 1 or 2 minutes to share to make sure that everyone is already live before we hit the road. I don't want to welcome my guest right now. I want to welcome him when the stage is fully set. When the stage is fully set, then I will welcome him, so that he can introduce himself when it is already 8 o'clock. This is now 8 o'clock, and I see that some of you are already online. And when I talk about 8 o'clock, I mean 8 o'clock East African time. 8 o'clock East African time. So maybe in your own time zone, it's another time, it's okay. Wherever you are, I'm sure you are getting ready to ask all your questions. And please, when you make your comments, let us know where you are joining us from. It will be very good to know you are joining from Kenya, you are joining from Uganda, you are joining from the US, you are joining from Afghanistan, you are joining from Iraq, you are joining from Jordan, you are joining from Israel, from across the globe. Let's make it a Globe Keep It Real show. So please ensure you tell us from where you are joining in. And all the comments, we want to appreciate all of you. Nobody should be watching without saying something. This is very interactive. This is very conversational. So please make sure that you keep it real. And when we talk about keep it real, we are saying let it be real life stories and real life comments. So as you're beginning to log in, don't forget our prayer tomorrow, our evening sacrifice, turning point prayer tomorrow, exactly 8 p.m. And tomorrow we shall be handling, I see Satan fall like lightning. I see Satan fall like lightning. This was the testimony of Jesus Christ and can be our own testimony. We can also see him fall in our lives and our situations. Within this episode, I'll be telling you the profile of the powerful woman that is inspiring the world through her career, through her profession, that we will be hosting next Sunday. And I'm talking about Captain Mary Mukulu Kai, the manager flight operations at Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. You can see how women are making waves in Africa and the world. She will be my guest next Sunday. I'll talk about her profile when we are already running in this program. I think now we need to begin. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to our live show right here from Nairobi, Kenya. And this is your host, Pastor Dr. Esther Obasi-ike, who is hosting you tonight on Keep It Real. Keep It Real show is a show that helps us to share our stories and to use real life stories to inspire people, to empower people, to encourage people, and to help them navigate through life. It is a show that started in the pandemic to help people go through tough times in life and to come out stronger than they entered. And so Tonight, by the special grace of God, I will be hosting a man with a serious story. And according to him, he has appeared in different media houses to share this story. So maybe those of you who have watched him before, you may be familiar with the story, but you can never be familiar with an experience. Because experience, somebody can share it today, and after 1 year, share it again, it will look like I've never had it before. That is why it is real story. So this man before us is called Mr. Titus Warete. And Titus Warete is a Kenyan. And in a few minutes now, he will be telling us exactly who he is. But first and foremost, let's welcome him. Our type of welcome, let's give him, normally we call it clapping ovation. The word clap calls the standing ovation. But on this Keep It Real show, I believe you are watching from the comfort of your homes, and so it cannot be standing ovation. It has to be clapping and hailing and la 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 and Kenya style, la 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 Kenya style. So can we give him a clapping ovation? And I want you to salute and slap the social media with your la 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 la. Let them know that something good is coming from Kenya, from Africa. Can we give him a clap of him? Can we give him a clap to welcome him, to cheer him? He's our guest. We are happy to have guests in our midst. Glory be to God. Mr. Titus, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Pastor. I think after such a powerful introduction, no one is left with no words. But I'm delighted. I'm humbled, and it is an honor and a rare privilege to be hosted by Pastor Esther Obasi to share that kind of an experience. You never know, that experience might be the turning point, might transform somebody's life. And therefore, as you have rightly put it, in as much as I've been to quite a number of media houses, I never tire. Sometimes it is a little bit difficult recalling an experience that one would want to forget as soon as possible. But if God did it so that somebody else can be saved, I always gather that courage. And he has always been faithful. He has always given me that courage to share my experience. Ladies and gentlemen all over the world, whatever I will share may not be very new. You might have experienced it in a different way, but every experience is a different experience. Titus Wairati is my name. I come from heaven, but currently I'm residing here in Nairobi, Kenya. And I'm waiting for that day that I will go back to my father's house. And I'm not so much in a hurry to do so. I feel there is a lot that I'm supposed to do before I could go back home. I am an educationist and a counseling psychologist. But for the last 10 or so years, I have practiced as a corporate trainer, especially on soft skills and leadership, a motivational speaker, an author, a life coach, among many others. But what gives me joy is that I am a father of 2 wonderful children, and not small ones, though big ones, very big ones, because my firstborn is Dr. Dennis Michael. Dr. Dennis Michael is a neurosurgeon, has been working in a hospital, in one of the hospitals in Nairobi, Kenya. They went on strike some time back and he was sacked. He has been home ever since. But our God is faithful because he has opened great doors that not very many days from today, he will be joining our family mentor at Johns Hopkins Hospital in the USA.
Wow.
I tell you that our family mentor is none other than Dr. Ben Carson. My second born, who is the acting last born, is Dr. Immaculate Genevieve. Dr. Immaculate Genevieve is a pediatrician. And today, being the 15th day of November 2020, Dr. Dennis Michael is a student at Jomo Kenyatta University here in Nairobi, Kenya. And Dr. Immaculate Genevieve is a Form 4 candidate. But they have big dreams, very big dreams, that one day they will become a neurosurgeon and a pediatrician respectively. My responsibility therefore as a father is to ensure that I nurture that what God has given them, so that one day it will be realized. I hope you have, my dear audience, you have picked the joke in there, but joke presented in a way that as parents, we also have to, we need to have big dreams for our children. As a father, I'm nurturing the same. And why, as a father, and not a father and a mother? Because 14, approximately now, 13 and 9 or 10 months ago, 13 years and 9 months ago, in fact, it will be 14 years on the 13th day of January 2021, since my dear wife left us, and the children were pretty young, and therefore it has been my responsibility to bring them to where they are. From kindergarten, where they were left at that time, up to the university and the Form 4 respectively, where they are. Pastor Obasi-ike.
Thank you so much. What an introduction. What an introduction, and also a joke that I was trying to catch where I was trying to say, did you say you have 2 children that are doctors? When did you give birth to them? Where are they? Yeah, I was wondering which children are these, to put it right. So later when you were ending and you said, of course, joke package in a way, I want you to make that joke a bit more practical. This is Keep It Real show. We are here. We try to make sure that we understand very well what the guest is saying. So yes, these people that are neurosurgeon are the one that is going to Ben Kassam for mental. Are they your biological children?
Yes, one, I would want you to say my packaging there was, they have big dreams that will become a neurosurgeon. But as we speak now, today being the 15th day of November, they are not yet at that level. In fact, he is a first-year student in a university here in Kenya. But we hope that one day, that is where he will get. And therefore, even when I introduce myself, I don't say that I'm just a father to Dennis. No, I introduce myself. And it has taken place. I might mention it in the course of the show, how it has helped to inspire them to work extra hard, even the academic work. But as I finish my introduction, I think it might suffice also me to say that I was born and brought up on the slopes of the Aberdare Ridges in Murang'a County of the central region of our beloved country, Kenya.
Wow, wow, glory be to God. All right, we're keeping it real in Nairobi, Kenya. I want you to share. If you have not shared, please share. You have already seen a father saying, I speak those things that be not as though they were, calling those things that be not as though they were. And that was the way Abraham lived his life, and eventually became a father of nations. Even when he had no child, but he was calling those things that be not as though they were. That is what Titus is doing, calling the schools where the children will end up, the mentors they will have, and those things are motivating the children to work hard. What a good father. Glory be to God. If you have not shared, please share. Make sure you touch the icon of share. Let everybody be blessed through this widow tonight, a motivational. So he has put down everything in writing. And I want to ask questions based on the things he has written. So audience, follow us and keep your comments coming, and kindly tell us the countries you are coming, you are watching us from, or counties. If you are in Kenya, tell us the counties. If you are in Africa, tell us which nation. If you are across the globe, tell us which continent you are watching from. All right. Let me begin by saying that on 13th January 2007, At 13 January 2007, we remained engrossed in my mind all the remaining days of my life. I met my lovebird, Nancy Njeriga Tungu, and walked down the aisle to the altar on Saturday, 8 December 2001. She was a nurse at Kericho and later in Thika, and I was a teacher in Nairobi. Later, we were blessed with 2 trophies, Dennis Michael and the Immaculate Genevieve. Now, this tells me that your marriage lasted for like 6 years before your wife passed on. Is that correct?
That is right. That's right, Pastor.
Now, 6 years marriage was just time for honeymoon.
True.
I was preaching about this in our church today about Ruth, that, you know, you just get married and just the time you are still doing honeymoon, traveling, having a time to bond together, your spouse dies. That it is even something we don't want to imagine. But here you are, we are talking about Ruth, but this is the male type of Ruth. So if there is anything that is called male Ruth, you are the male Ruth. Just 6 years in a marriage and your spouse is gone. Let me continue. Death. Few months into our marriage, Nancy started some health challenges that deteriorated every new day. Her illness drained us emotionally, mentally, socially, and financially. On Saturday, 13 January 2007, at about 10:40 a.m., the Lord knocked our door and Nancy responded affirmatively and was promoted to glory. At that time, we had been married for 6 years only. Dennis and Immaculate were 2 weeks old in pre-unit and baby class respectively. It was not easy even to make the simplest decision. However, one thing remained clear, that no matter what, Nancy had left us never to come back. I could not fathom the idea of planning for the funeral. In one of the meetings, I had to ask a friend to confirm whose funeral we were organizing. I experienced long, sleepless, and restless nights. I would appear very strong during the day, but we cried the whole night. So many issues were at play, and I was numb and paralyzed. Waking up to people gathering at our home in numbers, endless long journeys to Kenyatta National Hospital, and countless telephone calls left me drained. I happened to travel to our countryside home just a day before the funeral. I was welcomed by a horrible sight. The soil from what would be my darling's final resting place, the first in our home state. I can vividly remember the heap of red volcanic soil in my dad's chamber. I cried bitterly and uncontrollably. My mom, sisters, relatives, and other mourners joined in. Memories of that sight will never be erased in my mind. Saturday, 20th January 2007, was the day of final farewell. The journey from KNH, that's Kenyatta Hospital, aboard a Hiace was the longest ever. I became numb and I could not really connect with what was happening. The sight of a homestay full of mourners is unbearable. I may not have recorded everything that happened, but the sight of my priest friends presiding over the requiem mass, huge numbers of gathered mourners, the presence of my in-laws, and the thought of bidding farewell to their daughter and my innocent moved me with grief. The only experience difficult to erase was the grip of embrace between my son and I, next to the grave and glaring at the coffin being lowered. There was a lot of confusion, uncertainty, darkness, and utter hopelessness in my life at that moment. Now, this is the first part of our show. You are trying to share with the audience the reality, the practical experience you went through to watch a woman you loved go like that, to watch the first grave in your home state being the one of a lover, to be left with little children that you didn't know what to do. Please, you wrote this thing to me. Can you tell us in few sentences exactly practically how this particular section of your experience was. There are people that are watching us, and one thing we don't like to hear is death. Yeah. Death terrorizes everybody. Yeah. Even those of us who are born again, we know we are going to heaven. But nobody prays, God, I want to die and go to heaven. Nobody wants to hear the word death. People that are old die at 90, we cry. At 100, we cry. How much more of a 6 years marriage? Please speak to somebody who is mourning now, who has mourned, and let's just understand what this thing means to you.
Oh, that is not one of the easiest experiences to share. And as you have rightly put it, 6 years in marriage is expected to be the honeymoon, or rather what I would call the honeymoon that never was. I'm saying this because we wed in December, and in January, she gets back to Kericho District Hospital where she was working, and I'm left in Nairobi. And, as a teacher, and I was teaching in a private school, so getting permission to meet what you would want to say frequently was not easy. So despite the fact that she had started developing some health challenge on her skin, well, it didn't occur to us that it would be that serious. And therefore, maybe over midterms, she would either come over or I would join her. And then I realized, especially after the first conception, then the kind of drugs that she was put on were so strong. And that for her to avoid the abortion, she had to avoid a few other drugs. And the fact that she's not near me, so I'm trying to balance my career, my marriage, and the sickness in my marriage. And then at that time, after the first 1 year, then I thought it would be wise that we try seeking for a transfer. And for those who have worked with the Kenyan government, getting a transfer from one station to another station, and especially when you are dealing with the interprovincial, that time it was not inter-county, interprovincial transfers, it was not easy. And therefore, we struggled for the first 4 years. And within the same period, we kind of had been blessed with the 2 trophies. And now the sickness was getting worse. She is in Kericho, I'm in Nairobi. We could not concentrate. But as because our God is faithful, he heard our prayer and she was granted a transfer to Thika. And therefore, to me, that was even a closer age. So we have young children. I have a career to protect. I have a sick person. And you see sometimes the way we see it, she's a nurse. So I thought she has the best of the best. So even when she tells me I'm going to consult a doctor, a particular specialist, then you are in that field. I would expect you to get the best. So trying to balance all these things, I would want to say we may not have enjoyed what we would call the maximum of a married marriage as one would. There was a reason for that. So we tried our best, but by the time she was getting to Thika, the last 2.5 years, she was very sick. It was not very easy for us. And you see the nature of her sickness, without diverging too much of details, is that sometimes she would go to work. And the drugs she was using were so expensive. So you are telling someone we are having what I would call a credit crunch. We are having a challenge with the money because she is spending over 30,000 shillings in a month. And people will not understand, why are you spending too much money and she's going to work? So even when we called upon friends, well, they came on the board, yes, but then the challenge itself, the act of balancing was not easy. And therefore there were so many challenges, even before we could get to know each other so well, even before we could get into the children so well, even before we could get into the in-laws so well, then 6 years after that, she left us. It wasn't easy. From December 2006, it had reached a time I could see the pain that she was going through. Every time I visited Kenyatta National Hospital, Pastor, it wasn't easy. And the kind of pain she was going through. But then turning on this other side, our very young children. I remember like the second one, we had to stop her breastfeed after only 1 month because now the disease was taking toll on her and the kind of medication she was getting was so strong. And the doctors told us that if she continues taking the same medicine and breastfeeding at the same time, it's going to affect the child. So it wasn't easy. Allow me say it was not easy, but God saw us through. And then when it now came to January and I received that call that early morning, and where are you, Titus? Are you able to come to the hospital? And before I could, my instinct told me that all was not well. I remembered the way I had left her the previous evening, and then I knew all was not well. And when I got to the hospital, truly, as my instinct had told me, then she was normal. So now she's gone. Well, on one part, the pain is gone. She was no longer feeling the pain. Allow me to say it, I'm sure even our audience might have this kind of an experience. Going to a hospital to see somebody suffering and you cannot help. I mean, you cannot share the pain, you cannot share the suffering, you just watch in disbelief. It is so traumatizing. So now, fine, the pain is not there, she's gone. But then the other sad reality here is that I have very young children, and then I have to organize the funeral. We had not, allow me to mention, in Kenya, we have the habit of forming a wedding organizing committee. We had not even dismantled that committee. So here we are now trying to bring them back so that they could organize a funeral. And a funeral of someone who was so dear to me, someone who had already given, irrespective of her suffering, she had accepted it to give birth to 2 children, and it wasn't easy. I would want to say we were able to overcome. And as I've just written, in one of our sessions, I would ask myself, by the way, whose funeral are we organizing? Is it Nancy's or a neighbor or somebody else? I had attended other funeral organizing committee and I could not comprehend how in my family, allow me to mention this with a lot of humility, that this is the first kind of a funeral or a grave we are organizing in our family. Maybe save for our great grandfathers. So, I mean, I could not comprehend. But then God sent me angels. I had a brother who really walked with me during that moment. I had in-laws who are very supportive during that moment. And then as I have rightly put it, doing things in Nairobi was easier. Though every morning you wake up and there are people waiting for you at your door. And then you are wondering, why have they come? And you see, when they look at you, some of them are your friends. These are the same people who had witnessed the wedding just a few years earlier. In fact, some of them were maids. And then it's like when they look at you, the kind of a look they give on your face, tells it all. I mean, what has brought us here is not good news. And then the truth would hit once again. I can tell you, and I'm sure I may not be the only one, Pastor. If pillows would talk, they would tell a lot. I would be very strong during the day, but at night I would break. And then in the morning, a similar story. Then one day to the funeral, on the eve of the funeral, I traveled to the countryside. And you see where Dad had given instructions where her final resting place would be, was right opposite the gate. So you get to the gate, and the next thing I saw was a heap of red volcanic soil. For those who come from the slopes of the Aberdare Ranges would understand what I'm talking about. I could not fathom that idea. So it wasn't easy, but God was faithful. God sent me angels. I just don't want to be so, God is faithful. Yes, he's faithful. And he's faithful because he sent me angels, people who came beside me, people who walked with me, people who encouraged me, people who told me that it is not the end of the road.
Hey, you are leaving me speechless. You know, all this time we have been hosting guests, we talk about consultancy, we talk about how to build a career, legacies, companies, multi-million, multi-billion companies, those are the things, thank God for that. But we have never crossed this part of death, which is a reality to every man. Which is a reality to every man. That you come and see a loved one, you will walk back to your house, you look at the wardrobe, the clothes are speaking, the handbags are speaking, the shoes are speaking, and you see, unfortunately, videos that maybe you recorded, and the fellow is smiling and things. Oh, you cannot comprehend it. You cannot comprehend it. So we are talking about reality tonight that is a reality, but people don't want to accept that it is a reality. Yeah. So before we go to the second segment of your writing, you mentioned that if pillows could talk. Yes. And in your write-up, you said you cried uncontrollably. We are told that African men don't cry. African men don't weep. I even see behind you, the kind of background you have is not common to the shows I do. I am seeing something like African material. You are really showing I am an African man and this is my own studio. How could you have cried uncontrollably in the presence of friends and colleagues and relatives? Meanwhile, we are told African men don't cry. How do you connect that?
I honestly don't know how to explain it because I just found myself doing the same. It doesn't matter the kind of prejudices, it doesn't matter the kind of beliefs and stereotypes that people might be having. Because maybe as a counselor, maybe, I'm not so sure, maybe as a counselor, I have been encouraging people to be real. And when you encourage a person, it is therapeutic. Crying is therapeutic. It helps you to heal. You know, they say when you see a man crying, then the inside is already full. So this is an overflow. And therefore, maybe it is my genetic makeup, which is not African, or which is African brand. As you have rightly put it, I love Africa. I remember even in our evening dress was Nigerian wear. And for those people who have known me for a while, they know that I love those African wears. Why? I am proud to be an African. So there might be stereotypes, but I think one thing I have learned in life is that just be real, be yourself, do not fake. You may want to try to fit in somebody else's shoes, you will not. So just be yourself. And therefore, as you put it, not just crying in front of my friends. Maybe the friends might be bearable, but crying in front of my mother, crying in front of my father, crying in front of my brothers and sisters. And I think that is what also sent them screaming. Why? That was, it is the nerve center of a family. So I think I brought them down. But, the sight of the soil at the graveside, it was the reality that apart from what I had left in Nairobi, it is true that even at the countryside, they know what happened and they are preparing the way we have prepared for everyone else. So I think that is the time the truth hit hard on me, that truly I will never see her again. And the fact that they have prepared a grave is telling me that in the next few hours, less than 72 hours, she will be buried. I could not fathom, I could not hold. I broke down and I was myself. And I would want to say it played a great role, even in my healing.
Excellent, excellent. That's why this show is Keep It Real show. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think there is any show as real as Keep It Real show with Pastor Esther Obasi-ike. Here we don't fake. Here we don't apply cosmetics. The truth of the matter is that life is full of tears. Life is full of tears. And the man, Mr. Titus, has said it well. If pillows could talk, They have so many stories to tell. They have many books to author. You can write tonight as my copyright, pillows are authors. Pillows are authors. Unfortunately, we have not been reading their books, but we are reading right now one of the books that Pillows have authored. I've seen Mr. Titus is writing it down. Pillows are authors. And so we need to read the books they have written, and one of it is Mr. Titus. Ladies and gentlemen, we are allowed to cry. Jesus wept. Jesus wept. Death is very painful. Death, to lose somebody, especially a loved one, is very painful. I don't know how many of you are tonight watching and you're grieving, or you are almost crying tonight. I want you to know that you are not alone. But in all these things, the same strength that God gave him, that strength will come your way. And that's why we are showing him on this show. Let me read a few comments as we continue. Peggy Wangi is watching from Tanzania. Peggy, thank you so much for watching from Tanzania. I want to believe that, Peggy, you are sharing on your social media. Please, people are crying. People have lost so many loved ones in COVID. I can't even imagine what the family of these doctors that died recently are doing. Please share this. Be a blessing to somebody. Don't be stingy with your fingers. Share this on all social media platforms. Let somebody know that even in pain, God still cares. My husband, who is my top fan #1, Prince Okechukwu, is saying, Okechukwu Obasi-ike, my husband is saying, beautiful introduction, Mr. Waraite. You came from heaven and now you reside in Nairobi. I normally add, himself normally adds, came to this world through landing in my village, then sent out on mission to the world while waiting for the time to go back to heaven where I came from. Glory be to God. All of us are hearing. We are all coming. I don't know where some of you came from, but we are all coming. I came from heaven. I'm on transit. I actually say I'm transiting through Igbo land to the rest of the world. And when the journey gets to the final destination, I will be carried back to where I came from. So make sure that yourself is living with that mentality that you are going back somewhere. And I hope you'll be going back to heaven. All right. Anne Kawa said, a loss of a loved one is the worst pain one can go through. Nothing is more painful than that. The reality of it is that the pain goes and keeps coming afresh like it was yesterday. That is very true. Roslyn Anindo Otiato is saying, I just can't imagine this month we mark 19 years without a mother. But it always feels like yesterday. She's speaking as if she consulted. And because I have never had this courage to talk about it. And 18 years without a father, I salute you. You see, this voice we are hearing is a voice in pain. This voice of Roslyn is a voice in deep pain. She said, 18 years without a dad, 19 years without a mother. She said, I have not been able to talk about it because it looks like yesterday. So now I want you people to understand that talking about it helps you to heal.
True.
Talking about it helps you to heal. I pray that God will bring emotional healings tonight, emotional healings to so many across the globe in the name of Jesus. Aoga Vivian says, if pillows will talk, they will tell stories. That is the truth. Sabel Ndekwa said, I thought I had gone through so much. Are you hearing? I thought I had gone through so much. But hearing this sharing makes me understand that others have gone through so much. This is exactly what I was preaching in church today, that there must be a way for you to get consolation in life. When you hear the stories of other people, then you say, God, I thank you that even though I'm going through things, my own is still manageable more than someone else. So it gives you grace to continue in life. Therefore, Isabel, I thank God that you are receiving grace to continue. Pastor Chris Saibe is saying, crying is a natural response to a loss or pain, especially the loss of a very precious one. We thank God who is our comfort. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. This thing of that, don't cry, you are a man, don't cry, is fake. It's total fake. Why should you not cry? Cry is part of emotional response to a loss. You cannot lose somebody you love and you are saying, I'm strong, I can't cry, I'm strong. Meanwhile, at night, you are wetting the pillows. No, we need to be real, keeping it real. Okay, let your comments keep coming. Thank you for those of you commenting. Let your comments keep coming. Somebody is saying, Jean is saying, I know that. I had a sick brother with a kidney failure. I feel your pain. Someone else is saying, it's only God who is able to take one through all this and to continue being alive. I agree. Please keep on sending in your comments. We are watching. Don't forget tomorrow, our prayer 8 p.m. The topic is, I see Satan fall like lightning. We will understand what it means that Satan is falling like lightning. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, 8 p.m. for our prayer. Then on Sunday, I will be hosting Captain Mary Mukulukai. Captain Mary is the manager flight operations at Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. Captain Mary is currently an authority. She works as a regulator, and her mandate is to plan, develop, manage, regulate, and operate safe, economically sustainable, and efficient civil aviation system in Kenya. She has a Bachelor of Science in Aeronautics from St. Louis University in the United States, and an MBA from University of Leicester in the United Kingdom. Jehovah, Captain Mary. So we will be hosting her, and one of the most interesting thing about her is that I've flown with her at different times. She has just been appointed by the government to lead this aviation in Kenya, and she's one of our spiritual daughters, serious spiritual daughters, who has escorted me to Australia on a mission. We went together to minister in Queen Esther's generation, and not just that, I've had the privilege of flying with her right from the cockpit. I'm sure some of you who watched it, when I came out from the cockpit, you saw how we trained you on the powerful message on when the flight is in the air, what you expect, and how it connects with our lives in the area of relating with God. You will learn a lot on flying. Don't miss our show next Sunday, how a woman carries this aircraft and lifts it up. I sat with her in the cockpit and she was teaching me how to navigate. It will be an interesting show next Sunday. Don't miss it for anything. Don't forget prayer with Daddy on Friday. Stand in the gap, 8 p.m. All right, let's go to the second segment, decisions that you made. I read, when Nancy passed on, I was caught in a situation of balancing between the father and mother at the same time. It was not easy accepting that new reality. Therefore, I made certain decisions that I believe have been the pillars of my success. Even though the decisions were many, there have been some specific ones that I wish to share. My decision to be very connected with my God has been instrumental in all the subsequent decisions I have made. Are you listening, brethren? Ladies and gentlemen, in your pain, you can make a decision to connect with God. Exactly my sermon of today in the morning. Ruth made a decision that even in her pain, she needs to change her perspective. Rather than being bitter with God, she ran to God. Who do you run to when you are in pain? So let's continue. Having lost a partner who was supposed to be my biggest support, and suddenly have got to hold everything together myself, especially as a man requires the grace of God. I knew very well that the decisions I made at that point will affect everything forever with my children. Therefore, my love, my days are now numbered. Oh, I don't even have energy to continue reading this text. I don't have energy, but let me just gather strength and read. I feel so emotional tonight, audience, but let me just continue reading. Titus, my love, my days are now numbered. You know, it sounds like the things we read from the Bible. Be strong and steadfast. Do not fear or dread them, for the Lord your God will walk with you. He will never fail you or abandon you. Deuteronomy 31:6. This became my new commandment. Four, took them to a Catholic day public primary school, and ensure that I see them in the morning and in the evening after school. This decision was anchored in my belief in holistic child development, value-based character formation, and academic excellence. As I was growing up, I used to hear of stories of how children suffered in the hands of stepmothers. Indeed, as an actor, I remember taking up such a cast in church drama festivals. The script had me run to the grave of my mother, sobbing bitterly and asking why she had to leave us so early in life. It was so emotional play and one that stuck in my mind for a long time. Hence, when my wife died, I got a strong feeling that I should not let my children suffer. Therefore, another key decision I made was not to remarry until my children were in high school. God has been faithful. They are currently in first year and Form 4 respectively. This has enhanced our bonding, promoted family values and love for each other. I cannot regret having taken this decision. It was very clear in my mind that with assumption of the new role of both a father and mother, balancing work and family time was not debatable. Even though I had to pay for sustenance, I made sure that my schedules were flexible enough to allow quality family time. This gave us time to play, to pray together, learn how to cook together, and generally blend our different personalities. Audience, can we first give God a round of applause? Can we just thank God for this kind of a father? Can we just thank God for this kind of a father? You know, my husband and Pastor Neil Morakeyon has been being hosted by Pastor Duncan on fatherhood. It is rare to see a man like this who says, I will sacrifice pleasure for the sake of my children. I have seen life to know that I don't want my children being brought up here. I need to invest into my children. And so back to you. My question would be, this kind of decision you took, how does it affect you sexually, emotionally? Because we believe that a man cannot stay without sex for a long time. Or is it that you don't just have a wife, but you have emotional satisfaction here and there? Because I know that will be in the minds of people that, you know, it's not just about remarrying, it's about sexual relationship and all the other things. I want us to keep it real. So this decision you took, and for years nurturing your children to give them character, shows, number one, you are a man of character. So how does this decision affect you emotionally?
Well, that's a tough one. But allow me to say this. We make decisions based on the values that we have. And when you make a decision that one thing will happen, and you remain committed to it, and especially when you have a solid base. And that is why at the beginning I mentioned, truth be told, Nancy is gone, she's not coming back. That is a reality. It was difficult accepting that reality, but it was. I mean, it did not matter even if we were to dance on an eye of a needle, she would not come back. That's not human. Not that God cannot resurrect, but as it were, and as it is now, that was the reality. And therefore, I called myself to a meeting and I asked myself, what kind of a decision, and how must I move on? Allow me to say this, Pastor. It is not that I was so righteous that God decided to take Nancy, who was unrighteous. It is not that I was so good that God decided to take Nancy, who was not good. That is not true. The truth of the matter is, he knocked and took away Nancy. It's not because of, the way he took away Nancy is the same way he would have taken up me and left my children on behalf in the hands of their mother. And therefore, when I called myself, I said, oh, God has spared me, not because I'm so good, maybe because he also wants me to repent. Maybe he wants me to do many other things. But for now, I am left with what I would call a responsibility. It might also appear like a burden of bringing up two trophies together. And therefore, after prayer sessions, I called myself to a meeting and I said, I am going to make certain decisions. And one of them was not to remarry until at least they are in high school. Why? In as much as I would trust God for a person who would come and bled with all of us, from a human point of view, I would not be sure. But there is one thing I was sure of, that God's grace was sufficient. I have mentioned in the past that I took them to a Catholic school because I am a staunch Catholic. And I said, if our priests could live, I think it is also biblical. I may not be able to quote so well the way you would do it. After all, that is your area, not mine. At one point, Paul says, for those who can sacrifice for the sake of the gospel, they can live without husbands or they can live without wives. And therefore, I asked myself, can I sacrifice the same for the sake of the gospel? And the gospel here meant my own children, because they did not know anyone else that they were too close to under the sun. After their mother went, the only person who was left close to them was myself. And therefore I said, one, I would not hover from one house to the other, from one room to the other. Why? By so doing, sexual sin has its own consequences. I'm sure you can be able to elaborate on that.
Yeah.
And once you have bonded with one person, even if you go to the other, it's like you are carrying that part of the other person literally. And therefore, I said, no, if priest can do it, God can. I know I had tasted, and it was lovely. It was good, even if it was for like 1 or 2 years, because there were a number of years that she was not well. I would feel good. But then I said, can you give me grace so that I can focus on where I am going? One, I don't hover or over. Apart from the spiritual bondage that it comes with, even physically, one can contract diseases, etc., etc. And even in the course of that, people, either forced or otherwise, they'll end up conceiving. And you see, when somebody has conceived, they'll tell you this is a child.
Correct, so, absolutely.
Would want your child. So I decided, to me, this would be the way to go. Let me make this decision. It is hard. How has it affected me? I sometimes break down. I am a human being. And sometimes I would feel, no, I think I would need somebody here. Even not just sexually, even that tap at the back, that well done. You have done well today. Like I've gone to a place, I've given a motivational talk, and you end up getting it's an international motivational talk, and you get a standing ovation. You see, you feel you have delivered, but there is nobody to tell you, too closely and too softly, you have done it. So that has affected me. But even though it has affected me, I sacrificed. I gave up, not because it is bad in itself, but for a bigger cause. You see, when I come back home and I'm able to see my children, the way we bond, the way we relate, that we can talk about anything, about everything under the sun. I mean, we interact a lot. That's the thing. Yes, I sacrificed, and God was faithful. I had committed myself up to high school. I thank God. Right now, one of them is in the first year, the other one is doing Form 4. So it has even gone beyond expectations. So this year and next year, I can assure you, I will be praying with my eyes wide open. But as I pray, the last 14 years have not been easy. But when you look at where you are sacrificing, it might appear unreal. But the truth of the matter is, when we were in school, we were told, sacrifice friendship, sacrifice sleep. Do not compete with the dead bodies at Rangata on how to sleep. Wake up.
I have never had this one. Please let me write it down. Oh my God, you are something else, Mr. Titus. Go ahead.
Yeah. You are a student and you are competing with dead people on how to sleep. Yet, you will have too much time to sleep when you are going.
Have mercy on me.
But why were we told that by the teachers? And for those who followed, we sacrificed that, yes, and we passed in our exams. So decided, let me sacrifice this for the sake of my children. And
wow,
today I am a proud father. So far, I have not seen another mother. I have talked about that element of maybe suffering and in the hands of a stepmother. The only stepmother they know is myself. So there are many things that we've been able to do together. I cannot regret that sacrifice. I can only tell you, you can only be able to do that with God's grace. And that is why my foundation was, I need a very close relationship with God. And I changed my image of God to, God is my partner. Such that in everything that I am doing, even if I was to invest in a business, before I invest, I tell you, oh God, my partner, now I want to invest in this business. How do you want me to go about it? And I can tell you, if you trust him with all your heart, do not trust him, still thinking what the people are saying, men, women, what? No. Sometimes the urge comes and you tell God, thank you. I feel I need somebody. Yes, that tells me that I am normal. That tells me that I'm a real man. But because time is not yet, give me the grace. You distract that. You distract that with another dot. How far is my son going? How far is my daughter going? How am I faring where I work? And then you sacrifice for a cause you believe in. If our forefathers gave their life for the purposes of independence of our country, Jesus sacrificed himself, with all what he had for us. I strongly believe we can be able to, we can do it.
Glory be to God.
I have done it. It can be done.
Wow. This is just it. Making decisions that are value-based. What you are saying is that you make decisions that are value-based. You don't just make decisions because everyone does it. Maybe somebody is a widower, the fellow say, the relatives are saying, marry, remarry, you need somebody. Friends are calling you, why are you lonely? My friend, move on. Then you move on. And at the end of the day, your life may be so terrible, and it keeps reminding you of your wonderful wife, and your children leave you, abandon you, and you still go back to that loneliness. Therefore, decisions should be made on values. Not just because people are telling you, not because this is what the society is saying, but what are the values you want to make in life? My prayer for you, Mr. Titus, is that when it is now time to remarry, may the Lord guide you diligently because you have sacrificed so much that you cannot afford to bring in a Jezebel. You cannot afford to bring in a wicked and cruel stepmother who will come and destroy the sacrifices you have made by throwing away your children and making sure that she disconnects you from your children. I pray that you will get somebody who will fit into your dream and your vision so that your children will remain loyal and you will enjoy the fruits of your labor. Look at how time is running. I don't know how we are going to do this. Let me read more comments. This one is from my immediate senior sister from California, USA. My immediate senior sister. She says, hi, my youngest sister. So she's talking about me. My youngest sister, popularly called Nkem. Nkem is my native name. By your siblings. Here again, you are in your Sunday Keep It Real show with a widower today. May your wealth of knowledge and spiritual wisdom with your guests bless and give men watching this show to make a remarkable mark in their life as they face unavoidable challenges in life. And may they live up to God's standard and expectations. Thank you so much, my sister, Sister Noem, all the way from San Diego, California. Thank you so much. And I join you in that prayer that this is unavoidable challenge. You know, there are challenges in life you did not bargain for, and they come all the time. Exactly my sermon in the morning, that changes come, and you once upon a time you were married, all of a sudden you became single. You didn't plan for this, but change came. But how do you respond to change? You decided to respond positively, and it's working for you. My husband again says, excellent decision here. Desire to see the children have value-based character formation and academic excellence. God bless you. My husband is blessing you. He said, God bless you. Amen. That is important, because imagine if these children are moving from auntie to uncle to everybody. One may become a thief. One may become a drunkard. And at the end of the day, you ask yourself, what did I do to my own children at the expense of having sexual relationship? So I thank God that your sacrifice has paid. Another fellow is saying, Kate is saying, may Jehovah honor you and grace your life with an adorable wife according to your heart desire when that time comes. I salute your sacrifice. Another one says, you are praying with your eyes wide open. You are surely a great speaker. God's grace is surely sufficient. Value-based decisions, parenting with, partnering with God, knowing exactly who you are and what you have proposed to prioritize in each season of your life. I have learned so much. Oh, this is fantastic. At every season of our lives, what do we want to learn? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is 9 p.m. and I still have volumes of write-up, at least some of it, from our guests. But allow me just to do only one, and we will call it a night. And if along the way, we need to bring him back, we will bring him. And maybe when we continue monitoring him, eventually when that wives come, we want to know what was his value, how did he bring her, and all those things. Let me look at challenges. Challenges. As expected, bringing up children as a single father is not easy. You know, we normally hear of single mothers, but we hardly hear of single fathers. So to bring up children as a single father is not easy. In fact, I got many offers from my relatives to have them stay with my children. But in Kikuyu, we say, an elephant is never unable to carry her two ivories, no matter how heavy they are. Therefore, I decided to carry my two trophies willingly. What a powerful proverb, Kikuyu proverb. The first challenge was to explain what that meant to the young ones. I told them that mom had gone to stay with God in heaven, a beautiful place, and they could not understand why then their mother could leave them, yet she loved them so much. Are you people hearing? Suffice to say that God convinced them in a way and language I did not understand. At one time, I will hire house managers to assist in household chores. Some were good and some were a nightmare. Some would steal my utensils, knowing that I will never take stock. Oh my God. Sometimes my children's clothing will go missing, and your guess is as good as mine. But there is this nasty experience that my daughter suffered in the hands of a house girl. Even though I forgave her, every time I remember it, my hair stands still. During her early years and fear instilled by the said caregiver, she will wet her bed. In order to discourage this behavior, the house girl will make my girl get out of bed, stand the whole night. Oh my God. Oh, Titus, don't make me weep in this show. I've never wept in a show. I've never wept in a show. You are making me to go to cry. Oh no. Oh no. The house girl will make her to stand the whole night next to the bed and pretend to wake her up in the morning for school. On other occasions, she will be given 5 minutes to finish her food. In case she did not, the food will be snatched and put in the waste bin. This was worse if the food had beef. For sure, she will not chew fast enough, and hence she developed a behavior of selecting the pieces of meat and throwing them away. One day I woke up at night and heard some low cries in their bedroom. I rarely went in there, especially when the house girl is an adult. But this evening, a power pulled me into the room, only to find my dear girl on a wet floor, hissing in distress. Rest is history. As the children grew up, certainly it brought its own share of challenges. At first, dealing with girl issues was not easy. But because we have been friends, we were able to adjust accordingly. I must also admit that I had identified a teacher and friends from church to journey with her. From an early age, we were able to develop family values and culture. This helped us to navigate teenage with ease without fights on TV abuse and luxuries. My children are responsible, reliable, and independent. But I must as well confess that as a man, I may not have given them a mother's touch in the way of doing things. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think in all my show I've been as emotional as I am tonight. I think it's because I'm a mother. To see your own child being asked to stand the whole night by a house girl you pay salary, by a house girl you feed, and punishing a motherless child the whole night. And unfortunately, those house helps, they will not be watching this show. They don't have bundles. But you can understand why some of them never make it in life. You can understand why they generationally remain poor and moving from house to house. Because some of them can be cruel. Can be cruel. Mr. Titus, you say you have forgiven this house help. And I thank God you have. But you say anytime you think about it, you're a human being, your hair stand up. Have you been able to speak to your daughter in a way that will make her, not because you said it made her to be wetting the bed because she was so afraid of the house help. I remember one of our sons, our firstborn. He was too active. He was too active. He was an extrovert. And I didn't know that our houseboy was drugging him to sleep in KMA Estate. We had a very wicked houseboy, very cruel. He will borrow money from everybody in church. In fact, the fellow that made me to know how cruel he was the late mother of the former Attorney General of Kenya, who called me one day and told me, this boy, the way he's borrowing money, he looks at people with Porsche cars in church and he will round up in their around their cars. That was at Kiritua Redemption Sanctuary RCCG. And the late mother of the Attorney General, Honorable now Senator Amos Wako, she came to church and called me. I want to talk to you, my daughter. She said, you have a bad houseboy. And by the time she finished talking to me, I started looking at this houseboy until one day, one of our friends, Leah, came to visit. And she told me, I came here one day in the afternoon, you were not there. And I was told that Favor was sleeping. And she said, the Favor I know cannot sleep in the daytime. Cannot sleep in the daytime. Something is wrong. That was how we started monitoring. I knew that each time I left with my husband, because our son was hyper, the boy will give him something. I don't know what he was giving him. The boy will sleep the whole day. That boy, we chased him like a fly to leave the house. I want to get back to you. Have you been able to talk to your daughter in a way to make her remove that fear she was having, and also to grow understanding how to forgive and also to let go and love people?
You have equally elicited some emotions that I thought I had dealt with. And as you lightly put it, it is not easy. Every time I remember that, though I let go for the purposes of my own life, you know, and I would look at the sacrifice I had made for my children, yet somebody else is coming to mess up. I would want to say these were during her early years of infancy. We are talking in terms of class 2, class 3. And therefore, when I realized what had happened, and I think this is where I would also encourage other men, especially widowers, or even those who are married now, because you never know who will become a widower tomorrow. You never apply. It just happens. That when you decided to carry your own trophies like an elephant, it only means one thing. You go beyond what people expect of you. And therefore, when I realized what had happened that night, then the following day she did not go to school. I made sure that I allowed the boy who was in class 4 to go to school. And for her, because she was in class 2, I decided to remain with her at home. And luckily, I was not going to work that day. So I spent the whole day trying to interrogate what has been happening and what have you. And by 1 o'clock, I had already made a decision that the house girl would go, and she had packed and left. So to me, that was the first stage. Then the second stage was now to reassure her. Maybe with my psychology or counseling background, I would tell that apart from the intense fear that had been inflicted in her, there was still a challenge, there was a problem of self-esteem. And therefore, I decided to work on it once again. And working on it, the first few days, she would still wet the bed. I would come in the morning and check, and for sure, it has happened. But instead of reprimanding her, I would tell her, it has happened, don't worry, I'm sure you are going to overcome. Let us just remove these wet clothes. Leave the mattress, I'm going to work on it. I'm going to put it out to dry. And then let us soak the bed sheets. And then in the evening, we shall come and wash together. It took us like a month or two. And every time she would even do a mistake, I would not reprimand. I did quite a lot of work. And then speaking to the teacher, I had identified together we did it. Within 2 years, she had already outgrown her. And today, she's still as confident. Maybe from my personal analysis, she may not be as confident as I would have wanted. Because there are quite a number of things maybe she could not even recall. And you see, she was a child. Maybe there's some things that she would not even trust me with during those days. But I would want to say, I thank God that over 70% has been recovered. So what I was saying is, you have to go out of your way. You cannot remain just the typical, allow me to use that word for lack of better word, a typical African man who does not visit the bedroom for the daughters and what have you, does not wash clothes, and you still expect to run the show properly. I remember at one point, you see, like that day, I decided to go for like 6 months without a house girl. So what did that mean? I would wake up very early, prepare breakfast for them, iron clothes for them, pack lunch for them, then do the shoes for them, and then would wake them up, have them take a shower, and then they would eat. I would escort them to the bus stop. They would be picked by the school bus. I would get back home. I would wash their clothes. And you see, especially when you are putting the clothes on the clothesline, and the ladies from neighboring houses are like, look at that man. What is, especially when it comes to the smaller clothes. They think you can do the dress, you can do the brows, you can do this, but there are other clothes. Now, what do I do with my standard 2 girl? What do I do with my standard 3 girl? I have decided to do away with the house help so that I can correct the mistakes that have been done. And not just that, not just correcting. I have gone through the experience where the house manager tells you, pay me fair, I'm coming tomorrow. They take a week. They eventually don't come. But you see, life does not stop. So for us to go through, and especially bringing up children, it has not been easy. I'm telling you, this is only but the tip of the iceberg we are trying to discuss. But what I would want to say is, as a man, you have to make a decision of going the extra mile. That this is my child. So if he or she goes to school without clean clothes, I mean, at the end of the day, it is me. And I'm the one who is responsible. I'm the one who appears to be reliable in the family, not her, not the small boy. So I would do quite a number of things that, especially during the early age, people would look at me. And I'm so happy that even now, today we sit down. Okay, when they grew up, we started having family meetings where we would discuss a number of things. But I'm happy even now we sit down and we agree, like during the COVID-19, we'll say, okay, we are doing pancake. I thought I knew how to make pancakes, but the boy is the best. Every time I would make pancakes, they would look like chapatis. They were that hard. But he told me, Daddy, this is the way to go about it. My daughter would teach us another skill. And then we would agree tomorrow is general cleaning. So who will do the dishes, who will do the floor, who will do the stairs, who will do what? And the board has been so firm. But I'm saying you have to commit yourself to work on it. If you don't, you may not go very far.
You have made a lot of sacrifices, Mr. Titus, and you are still making. No wonder the Bible says, curse is any man that insults or curses father or mother. In the Old Testament, you'll be put to death by stoning. You disrespect your father or your mother, they will bring you out in the broad daylight and tell people to stone you to death. It is because of this kind of sacrifices that fathers and mothers, good ones, have made for their children. You cannot ignore it. You cannot abuse it. Let me read more as we begin to wind up. Somebody, Pastor Teresa and Jerry is saying, God bless you, Pastor Teresa is saying, God bless you, sir, for this great sacrifice. It shall not be in vain in Jesus' name. Minister Elizabeth and Dambi is saying, may God reward you, sir. How could it be that you sacrifice for your children this way? My dad too did the same after my mom passed on. Today, he too could imagine a stepmother who could have tortured us. So maybe I'm sure the father tells them, thank God I didn't bring a woman who could have tortured you people. Regina is saying, I can relate with this story. It happens to our children, even those with special needs. You know, there are parents with children with special needs. That means house help torture them. So she's saying we have to pay attention to our children, and she's pleading, please, please, please. Kate is saying, sorry about this painful experience, but allow me to ask, why didn't you give the kids to your mother to take care of them? Because your mothers are very loving. I think I will allow you to answer this. You have already answered. It's about value base. The value base of your mother in this time is different from, so the answer is simple. He couldn't allow the mother to do it just to love the children. He needed to grow the children to have value-based lifestyle, and also academically. The mother cannot help. He is a teacher. He wants the children to be career people. The mother cannot help. So there are sacrifices we must make ourselves. The way when our mothers gave birth to us, they took care of us. We can't give birth and take back our children to them to go and take care. They have done their part. It is our time to do our part. I don't think I will continue reading this, otherwise we will not go tonight. Let me just talk about your recognition as we close. Recognition as written, I have carried out this responsibility with sacrifice, dedication, and commitment for the sake of God, for the sake of my wife, Nancy. I can tell you that in heaven, Nancy is clapping for you. Nancy is cheering. Nancy will say, if I have a second time, anything like that to remarry, I will not give you out, not even for $1 billion or $1 trillion. There are few men like you in the whole world. So you are saying you have done it for the sake of God, you have done it for the sake of Nancy, and you have done it for the sake of your children. Royal Media Services recognized my efforts and awarded me the Father of the Year in 2018. You deserved it. You deserved it. Let's celebrate that award. Ladies and gentlemen, help me on social media to celebrate a man that has stood as a single parent. So he was awarded by Royal Media Services as the Father of the Year. This year, 2020, the same company, that is Royal Media Services, awarded me the title of Mother of the Year during Mother's Day. Of course, what else do you expect for a man that goes to the room to change the bed sheet of a child that has wet the bed sheet and things, change her, prepare them, go to school, make their breakfast, do homework with them, carry them? What else? You were the Mother of the Year this year. Let's appreciate him. We host award winners in this our show. Let's appreciate him. I feel greatly humbled, yet elated by this recognition. Finally, in course of my duty in Honorable Sabina's office, I was engaged in giving motivational talks to teenage expectant mothers in Muranga County. The experience was challenging and mind-boggling. I was struck by the experiences of defiled girls, some by the most trusted caregivers. The narration of a girl not sure of the father to her unborn child, between her father and her elder brother, broke the camel's back. Are you hearing? Father sleeping with the mother, the daughter, elder brother sleeping with the sister, until there was a pregnancy that cannot be accounted for. When I relayed that experience to my children in a family meeting that evening, we felt a need to mentor as many young people as possible. Though the darkness in the world is so thick, we decided to light a candle, hallelujah, instead of cursing and blaming the darkness. Titus at 10:30 p.m. on 24th August 2020, Light a Candle Foundation, Jehovah, was born with the sole agenda of mentorship for youth, men, women, and couples. Glory be to God. Light a Candle Foundation was born through pains. Ladies and gentlemen, which other way could we have ended this show? Experiences have battered candles that will change other people's lives and bring hope. I want to challenge you. Go and watch and listen to my message today in church. It is not different from the show of tonight. And it was actually by coincidence. It was not planned. Go and listen to that sermon. If you have not listened to the sermon I preached today, go and listen to it. Your perspective about life must change for anything to change in your life. Once again, Mr. Titus, I want to say thank you for being open and to have shared your life with us. At this time, we're about to close. I want you to give us your parting shot in one sentence.
With God, all things are possible. We were born for a purpose. Let us live according to that purpose. Whatever your call may be, there are those who will remarry in 2 weeks, others in 2 months, others in 1 year. But if my sacrifice for my children will take me to heaven, then I will do it. So having been created for a purpose, kindly purpose to live that purpose. And God who gave you that purpose will see you through. With God, all things are possible. It was an honor, once again, and privilege being on this show. If it has touched you, go and touch others. If it has lit you a candle, go and light other candles. There are many ways of lighting that candle. And I'm sure in case you think I can be of any assistance, just get in touch with the pastor, and I'm sure you'll be able to get my number. And then from there, we shall journey together. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Amen. Thank you so much. We are so delighted. We are happy. And I believe that there are some of you may be struggling with your adult boys, young boys, children, and you may need his help. You can get in touch with us or through our social media platforms. You can leave your comments, your numbers, in case you're having problem with your boys. And I'm sure when we connect you with him, he may be able to help mentor those boys, navigate through with you. Glory be to God. Don't forget, tomorrow we are praying. We are not tired of praying. We are praying. We are praying. You have heard him talk about God. Everybody that has been on this show they have affirmed and they have confirmed you cannot exist in the absence of God. It is not possible. Trying to solve your problems in the absence of God is to become depressed, and you can actually run mad. It takes only the grace of God to sustain us on this walk. I want to pray that those of you who have been wetting the pillows at night, get courage. Don't wet pillows again. Pick up your pieces from where you have left them, rise up and begin to make it again. So join us in our prayer tomorrow. We draw strength and grace from prayer. Let's pray tomorrow, 8 p.m. Be with us on Friday for prayers. Don't forget Faith Clinic on Wednesday, teaching the word. And then on Sunday, Keep It Real show. My goodness, it will again be a woman of honor in our nation, a flyer, a captain, and somebody in charge of aviation now. So you are going to listen to her, how she combines it with faith. And I am proud to be her spiritual mother. So please join us. And I want to say, even on Sunday, I'll be preaching and finishing the teaching I started today in church on change is inevitable. You can't control it. Change is inevitable. And I'm going to handle the last letter, M. What is this M? What is this M? Please join us in our church, 9 o'clock to 10:30 every Sunday. We are live, we are physical, then 11 o'clock to 12:30 every Sunday, second service. You can follow us online, you can follow us physically, maintaining every COVID-19 protocol. Again, as a church, our condolences go to families that have lost precious souls through this COVID-19. It is a time of mourning. It's a time of pain. It's a time of great loss. for everyone, both those in the medical team, medical practice, and those that are in non-medical practice. The pain of the nation is our pain. So our heart goes out to all those families, and we condole with them, as we also warn you, everyone, to play intelligently by maintaining all protocols of COVID-19. Finally, I want to appreciate our background people who have been at the background working with me on this. I want to say thank you to Apollonia. It was Apollonia that linked me up with you. I thank you, Apollonia, for bringing him to this show. I thank you so much, Sister Ivy, for being at the background, pulling out questions. And I thank you, Steve, for controlling our YouTube. Thanks to those who are sharing. Don't forget to keep sharing. And thank you to all our fans. And as I conclude, my husband says, Mr. Titus, God bless you. May God take it over from you fully and make your children a great delight and a source of joy to you in years to come. In Jesus' name. This is the prayer of my husband for you. And my husband also prays for me. My own precious, he calls me my own precious, Pastor Nkendilim Esther Obasi-ike. God bless you abundantly for all you are doing to touch lives positively in Jesus' name. Thank you, my own treasure. I am so proud to be your wife. I'm so glad that we met each other 27 years ago, and we have been married, and we are having a good time. I love you so much. And you are one pastor that when you pray for me, I know that God hears, because you live an upright life. Thank you for creating time to watch what I do. Not all husbands do this. Not all senior pastors. We create time to follow what their wives do. But you do it. The Lord bless you and honor you. And to all our viewers, thank you so much. See you again tomorrow. See you on Wednesday. See you on Friday. See you on Sunday. Actually, Sunday now is me and you all the time. Thank you so much. And Mr. Titus, when it is time for your children to get married, remember to invite us and we will testify. And when they become doctors, they should not forget us. They should be sending us US dollars and pounds sterling. Yeah. God bless you.
Oh, yeah. Amen. I possess that. I possess that in Jesus' name.
Amen. Have a good night.
Have a better one. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Ciao.